Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Faizuddin and I'm together with Muhammad Ahmad Zarif and Muhammad Abdul Irfan will present on the topic Walau Selangor Fireflies for the Project 2 Pet Sanctuary Conservation Project. So what are we going to discuss for this topic, which is first the introduction by acknowledging about the site. Next is flora and fauna, which specialty of the site. Next, conservation issue, which are the problems and threats. Next, support and effort by involvement of other parties. And fifth, protection and results from the efforts. And sixth, the conclusion and the future recommendation. So, first we look into the introduction, which is by acknowledging and understanding what is the site and the information of the site. So, about Kuala Selangor Firefly, this is located at the northwest of Kuala Lumpur, which is a small coastal village. The village is renowned for the great attraction that runs through the village alongside the Selangor River. In the evening or night, visitors can spot the famous fireflies on this river. The fireflies are all found in the Berembang mangrove species. It is said that it is one of the world's largest colonies of the flies. As you can see from the photo, it is located at the northwest of Kuala Selangor by the information. Next, we look into the background of the site, which is history of development of Kuala Selangor Fireflies. There are no specific year, but firefly watching initially was scientists did decades ago for studies. Fishing villager initiate a boat service to commute the scientists. And his experience of managing Selangor River helped the scientists greatly for the extension of study. Later, use of spread of fireflies in Kampung Kuantan and outsiders were interested in Kampung Selangor Fireflies. The villagers of Kampung Kuantan have since begun to boat rental services for firefly watching to the outsiders. Then, Malaysian utility companies started a collaboration with the local council to build a jetty. And a ticket counter and a boat rotation schedule also started for the suitable and appropriate tourism. And lastly, Kampung Kuantan was then known as Kampung Kuantan Firefly Park from that day onwards. Next, we move into the flora and fauna. We move to Brother Ukail.
Okay, to the set of the set flora of fauna is next slide is the most prominent flora and fauna in the set is mangrove and fireflies. The species of the mangrove, next slide. The species of the mangrove that is the most prominent at the set is Sonatra caesuloris, or known as locally as Berembang. It was the most abundant and dominant mangrove species along the riverbank. These mangrove species need grow well in the area of low salinity. They are 10% or less. This mangrove tree attract the species of fireflies that known as Meteorotix tenor, which is known to emit some form of luminescence at night. The mangrove play an important role in controlling flooding and soil erosion. Berembang trees also are known as mangrove species that have ecological role as habitat for firefly to dwell during the night. This means that these species attract and place for the habitat of the fireflies. Next. The species of the most known species firefly in the area is Meteorotix tenor. This species is known to attract to Berembang. The firefly is restricted to areas along the riverbank where they are prominent. sonaratia or gembang stand. The firefly produces a synchronous flashing pattern which resembles a twinkling light. Live in big colonies, and each colonies inhabit the trees with young leaf, preferably in area of minimal human intervention. Third is conservation issue, the problem and the threat of the site. There are three known threats to the site. First, the land ownership, upstream development, and trade from the tourism activities. That's like the first threat to conservation is the land ownership. This area is not yet been given any protection status because the land ownership of this area are owned by the private property of the villages in the area. Uh, is one of the one of the protection status they need to conserve the areas. The land ownership uh, must must state that the land ownership of the site is not private. Most of the land in Kampung Kota is alienated for individual. That means that the Kampung Kota is alienated for individual, and this gives rise to further complications because it's stated as Malay Reserve Land. Next, the second threat is upstream development. The demand for the water supply, especially drinking water from Selangor, Sungai Selangor, has been decreased today due to pollution problem in other river that are currently supplying drinking water are also another contributing factor. It means that currently only Sungai Selangor are supplying drinking water, and other sungai or other river have been heavily polluted. The impact from the river diversion project will be increased or will be decreased in freshwater flushing downstream and subway increasing the salinity in Kampung Kuantan. This means that with the increasing of the salinity in the river, the berembang tree or the mangrove tree cannot grow well at the site. Effluent and runoff from large agriculture areas and agriculture-based industry are other contributing factors that lead to the poor water quality. Next, the last threat known is the threat from tourism activities. The tourism activities are the main tourism activities at this site is firefly watching. They mean that the villager really greedily wanted to gain much profit in a short duration and to use motorized boat instead of sampan, where they use in the past use rowing boat to this industry. It created a problem and disturbance to the firefly and the tranquility of the mangrove and the areas. Basically, the noise from the motorized boat and the pollution that comes from the motorized boat disturbing the firefly species and the mangrove species and areas. Other threat to the firefly population are the ignorance of human encroachment. Basically, this area there are some sampan rover that allow tourists to collect firefly despite the strict restriction and regulation imposed on the tourists not to collect the fireflies. Next, we pass to my partner, Amar.
Okay. Now, I would like to explain about the involvement of the parties to give support and effort in order to conserve for the firefly sanctuary. Basically, there are three parties, involvement parties, which is state government, Malaysian Nature Society, which is MNS, and also not to forget public participation. Next. So, for the state government, the state government have gazetted the Kampung Kuantan Riverine as a protected zone, as in order related to the Selangor Water Management Authority Enactment 1999, Part 5, Section 48, which is highlighting on a provision of limitation upon the sitting or erection of any structure or the carrying out of any works. A prohibition or limitation upon the alteration of existing land contour, including any regarding or the construction of roads. D. A prohibiting or limitation upon the clearing or harvesting of vegetation, including the felling of any trees, the removal of riparian growth, or the draining of wetlands, and also a prohibiting on limitation upon the discharge of any or waste. Next one. So basically, the state government also have provide a rehabilitation, which is the organization mainly focusing on the rehabilitation in degraded site at the Kampung Kelantan River, which is upon the Pipeline Sanctuary. And then for the habitat preservation, basically what state government do is preserving the sago stand area as they are the habitat for the larvae and also hostnel for the uh, larvae food. Next slide. So let's move to the Malaysia Nature Society. Basically, this Malaysia Nature Society is providing or guiding for the river protection, which is protect the river buffer zone and the river loops of riparian forest. This strategy for conservation and tourism development at Sungai Selangor Riparian Forest in 1987. Basically, these strategies following with the SWNA, which is the uh, Water Management Enactment 1999, which is the River Management Policy relating to the policy number 3, which is zone of protection, declared area and restriction, have been notified in 2009, which is for the relating for the fireflies at Mukim Pasangan. Basically, this policy highlighting on to conserve the ecological and environmental value for the aquatic life. Besides that, to conserve the and also adopt the aesthetic value of the river in any development project for the preservation of the editing nature river. Next, this National Society also highlighting on repopulating the habitat, which is conducting intense research work on this particular species with the aim of repopulating the cleared area. And also, this society focusing on habitat protection, which is protect the remaining pockets of firefly habitats along the river. This will allow for the future repopulation of the damaged area. Next one. So, for the public participation, basically, the first one is public awareness. Increase the awareness of the local community and landowner. This is needed, especially on the importance of the firefly habitat. And the next one, limitation of the firefly activity. Basically, this firefly habitat protection and conservation activities will be provided as a sense of the importance to the human. So next, so I will tell you about the protection result, which is come out from the result from the conservation effort. Next. So basically, what the conservation has been benefit is basically the site is become the most popular firefly attraction. Basically, this Kampung Kuantan is the most popular place with firefly as the main attraction compared to other areas. The next one, the conservation project also have giving a good increasing the green space of the Kampung Kuantan riverine, which is we have Perembang area riverine for the firefly habitat. Next one. And then for the negative impact that has been found at the site of the conservation project, which is the Kampung Kuantan River itself, we have the poor water quality, which is the Kuala Selangor River is under class 3, which is not clean enough to, compared to the other river. And the next one, for the negative attitude at the site, basically we can see the irresponsible people have been illegally through the garbage disposal to the riverine, which is throwing the garbage everywhere and even attempt to catch firefly, although it was prohibited. And the last one, the negative impact of the visitors. Basically, the high visitors number on the firefly population lead to the disruption to the firefly habitat. As we can see that there are no controlling for the tourism activity. Okay, now let's move to the conclusion. Back to Faiz. Thank you.
So, lastly, we will discuss and about conclusion. So, from this conclusion, there are several points. So, in conclusion, fireflies are sensitive species that need extensive care by coping with the berembang species, which is only suitable mangrove that can cope with fireflies. Next, from the in terms of tech, water slang of firefly is dependent on the sustainability of mangrove and fireflies, which is or is impact on their economic income. Next, threats toward the sky are various, such as land ownership, upstream development, and threat from tourism activities, which I have been discussed before. And lastly, the future of tourism industry in Kampung Kelantan depends on much on the goals of the relevant management body which present by AMA. So what are the future recommendations? Basically, there are four classification, which is first local privilege. So, under local privilege, which is local should be given the opportunity to develop and promote tourism. Next, which is authorities involvement, which is the authority should only intervene when waste management occur by the local development and promote in kampung content pipelines. Next, under classification is of development. There should not be any large development at the tourism area, especially at firefly habitat. And lastly, sustainability. So, tourism facilitate the visitors and it sustain the ecological balance. Basically, the design and the hardscape must be sustainable for the surrounding. So, that's all from us. Thank you.